Get your hands off that car, boy. Officer Brian Doyle's voice boomed across the Chevron gas station parking lot, slicing through the ordinary hum of suburban life like a thunderclap. His hand clamped down on the shoulder of Anthony Carter, a 42-year-old black man in a tailored Navy suit, shoving him toward the hood of his luxury sedan. Doyle's other hand hovered dangerously close to the grip of his service weapon, eyes glinting with that peculiar blend of arrogance and menace that comes from years of unchecked power. The crowd froze. Mothers instinctively pulled their children closer. Coffee cups paused midair. A construction worker on break slowly lowered his sandwich, his jaw slack. Then came the unmistakable sound. Smartphones snapping up into recording position. Lenses hungry for truth, for evidence, for survival. Anthony's cheek scraped against the hot asphalt as Doyle's knee drove into the base of his neck. Gravel cut small ridges into his skin. Sweat beaded along his hairline, sliding down into the scratches, stinging. He hadn't resisted. He hadn't moved. Yet Doyle barked into the morning air. Stop resisting. With all the conviction of a man building a lie in real time, phones zoomed in. Gasps turned into murmurs. Outrage simmered. And then, everything shifted. From beneath Anthony's torn suit jacket, something metallic caught the sun. A brief flash of gold. A five-pointed star. The insignia of the Millbrook Heights Police Department. The crowd hushed, their confusion palpable. The man pinned face down on the asphalt wasn't a suspect. He wasn't a stranger. He was their brand new police chief. 15 minutes earlier, the world looked very different. Anthony Carter had been awake since 6:00 a.m. Nerves humming, his hotel desk buried in personnel files and budget reports. He believed in preparation the way preachers believe in scripture. 20 years in Atlanta PD taught him that knowledge was armor. Every statistic, every officer's record, every community concern. He devoured them, highlighting patterns with precise strokes of yellow. He knew today was more than a job. It was a test. The mayor had recruited him after a national search, desperate to shift Millbrook Heights Police Department into the 21st century. The old chief had clung to power for 3 decades, ruling with good old boy mentality and favoritism. 89% of the force remained white in a town rapidly diversifying. Resentment simmered beneath the surface like natural gas waiting for a spark. The mayor promised resistance. Anonymous comments online had already branded him an outsider, a diversity hire. None of it mattered to Anthony. His father, a school principal in rural Alabama, used to tell him, "Character is tested where prejudice thrives." His mother, a nurse who worked double shifts to put food on the table, added, "Respect isn't given. It's earned, every day." Their voices walked with him even now. At 9:30 a.m., Anthony parked his sedan at the Chevron across from police headquarters. He had chosen the location carefully. The station sat within clear view of the department's gleaming brick facade, American flag flapping proudly. He wanted his first step into Millbrook Heights to be deliberate, visible, symbolic, a black man in a press suit, calm and unafraid, refueling before taking command. The morning felt textbook ordinary. A contractor in paint-splattered overalls filled his pickup, humming a country tune under his breath. 3 soccer moms compared weekend schedules beside their SUVs. Yoga mats rolled in the back seats. A businessman clutched a paper bag with coffee and a buttered bagel. Birds hopped along the curb, chirping in the shade of oak trees. Even the smell of gasoline seemed oddly familiar, a scent of routine America. Anthony moved methodically, his shoes clicking against the pavement as he replaced the nozzle. He rehearsed his introductory speech under his breath. Confident, but not cocky. Experienced, but approachable. Firm, but willing to listen. Balance. "Anthony," he told himself, "you set the tone on day 1. His gold watch, an anniversary gift from his wife. Dana gleamed as he checked the time. 9:47 a.m. He still had 13 minutes before walking into the building across the street to face 80 officers who didn't know yet how radically their culture was about to change. But unseen eyes were already on him. Officer Brian Doyle sat in his patrol car a block away, his partner Mark Ellis beside him, sipping burnt coffee from a styrofoam cup. Doyle had patrolled Millbrook Heights for 17 years, long enough to believe the streets belonged to him. At 45, his hairline receded, but his swagger remained intact. He distrusted outsiders, especially ones who looked nothing like him, spoke polished words, and drove imported sedans. Ellis, younger and hungrier, mimicked Doyle's every prejudice like a student eager to please his master. "Another thug playing dress-up," Doyle sneered, eyes narrowing through the windshield. "Suit, car, watch, bet it's all stolen." Ellis chuckled, though uneasily. "Want me to run his plates?" Doyle shook his head, adrenaline already rushing. "Nah, watch this." He slammed the gas pedal. Tires squealed. The patrol car lunged across the intersection, blocking the gas station exit in a dramatic skid. Customers flinched. Birds scattered into the sky. Within seconds, Doyle was out of the car, chest puffed like a rooster ready for a fight. "Hey, boy, where'd you steal that fancy ride?" His voice carried across the lot, acidic, loud enough to command attention. Every civilian instinctively turned to watch. Anthony froze mid-stride, keys in hand, posture calm but coiled. He had seen this scene too many times in his career, an officer mistaking authority for dominance. But never had he been the target, never in uniform, never on the cusp of becoming chief. Doyle closed the distance with theatrical force, shoving Anthony's shoulder. "That's assault on a police officer," he barked immediately, twisting reality into accusation. His hand hovered near his weapon, eyes bright with cruel anticipation. Ellis circled toward the passenger side of the sedan, peering through tinted glass like a burglar casing a house. Witnesses stiffened. A soccer mom's manicured hand trembled as she raised her phone. The contractor set down his coffee and fumbled for his camera app. A teenage girl walking to school mouthed, "Oh my God," as she pressed record. The gas station attendant, Linda Alvarez, stepped cautiously from behind the counter, eyes wide, instincts screaming something wasn't right. Anthony inhaled slowly. 20 years of training wrestling with 20 years of personal experience. He kept his voice even. "Officer, I'm retrieving my identification." His words were deliberate, every syllable recorded by half a dozen lenses. But Doyle's jaw flexed with anger. Educated diction sounded like defiance. Calm composure felt like mockery. "Slow movements. I said, slow." Anthony complied, pulling his wallet with measured grace. His cufflinks caught the sun, glinting like tiny signals. Doyle snatched the license, holding it up like contraband. "Anthony Carter, Atlanta address. What are you doing in my neighborhood, Anthony?" His emphasis dripped condescension, each syllable sharpened into insult. The crowd's discomfort grew palpable. A young mother hustled her children inside, sneakers slapping against concrete. An elderly man folded his newspaper, shaking his head. The gas pump clicked off behind Anthony, its mundane beep clashing with the surreal hostility. "I'm legally parked. I've committed no crime. What's your reasonable suspicion for this stop?" Anthony's voice was steady, precise, legal armor forged from years of courtroom testimony. Doyle barked a harsh laugh. "Reasonable suspicion? How about you matching break-in suspects? How about those fancy clothes that don't fit your background? How about being out of place?" Each baseless claim echoed like a pre-written script, performed before an unwilling audience. Ellis added fuel with a shout. "I smell marijuana." His lie rang absurd against the morning breeze, carrying nothing but gasoline and coffee. Phones captured everything. A soccer mom whispered, "He's lying." The contractor muttered, "This is harassment." Anthony's jaw tightened. "Officer, there are no drugs in my vehicle. I don't use drugs. Stop making false accusations." The word "stop" ignited Doyle's fury. He stepped close enough that Anthony could smell his stale coffee breath. "Don't tell me how to do my job. Boy." The word boy cracked the air like a whip. Gasps rippled. A woman in yoga clothes shook her head, lips pressed tight. The teenage girl's live stream comments exploded. "This is insane. Racist cop vibes. Someone tag the NOAACP." Doyle's hand slapped his radio, static buzzing across the lot. "Central, we've got a suspicious individual in a possibly stolen vehicle, requesting backup." His words dripped false authority, already building the case for violence. Anthony clenched his fists, knuckles whitening. His voice remained professional, almost surgical. "Officer Doyle, you have no probable cause. I refuse consent to search my person or vehicle. I am complying with all lawful orders." Doyle's sneer widened. To him, professionalism equaled arrogance. His knee twitched with the urge for force. Ellis circled, murmuring into his own radio. Within minutes, 2 more patrol cars screeched in, tires shrieking against asphalt. Sirens cut through the morning like jagged knives. 4 officers now surrounded one man. Rodriguez and Bradley emerged, hands resting on holstered weapons. The display was pure theater, intimidation by numbers. To the crowd, the gas station no longer looked like a suburban pit stop. It looked like an occupied zone. Anthony scanned the scene with trained eyes. Multiple phones recording. Multiple witnesses present. A security camera blinking red above the store entrance. He built his record aloud. "For the recording devices, my name is Anthony Carter. I am legally parked, have committed no crime, and do not consent to any search." His words fell like courtroom testimony into the morning air. Doyle only heard insolence. "Probable cause? How about your attitude? How about you don't belong here?" The accusations stacked like tinder awaiting flame. Then came the breaking point. When Anthony reached, slowly, deliberately, for his phone to document badge numbers, Doyle shouted, "He's going for something," and surged forward. The tackle was brutal. Anthony slammed face first into scorching asphalt, air blasting from his lungs. His suit tore at the shoulder. Blood smeared across pavement. Doyle's knee ground into his neck. "Stop resisting," Doyle shouted again. Louder, performing for the cameras as though volume could erase truth. Linda Alvarez burst through the convenience store doors, voice cracking. "He didn't do anything wrong. He was just getting gas." An elderly woman in pearls stepped forward, trembling but resolute. "Officers, that man was completely cooperative," the crowd shouted, phones recording every second. Outrage thickening the air. And then, as Anthony struggled under Doyle's crushing weight, the torn fabric of his jacket shifted. Sunlight struck something metallic at his waist. A 5-pointed star gleamed unmistakably. Dr. Eleanor Brooks, standing near the entrance, saw it first. Her voice cut through chaos, sharp and disbelieving. "My God. Do you even see what's on his belt?" Doyle's grip faltered. His eyes flicked down. For the first time all morning, fear bloomed on his face. Because in that moment, every witness, every camera, every officer realized the unthinkable. The man they were brutalizing wasn't a suspect at all. He was their new police chief. Complete silence gripped the Chevron parking lot as the golden star of authority flashed beneath Anthony Carter's torn suit. The badge was no ordinary trinket. Its shine cut through the haze of prejudice like a blade of truth, announcing to everyone, officers, witnesses, live stream viewers across social media, that the man they had pressed into the asphalt was not a criminal. He was their newly appointed chief of police. For half a second, time seemed to stop. The morning hum of traffic dulled. Even the flag across the street drooped in still air, as if the entire town was holding its breath. Dr. Eleanor Brooks, the retired professor with decades of experience calling out injustice, was the first to speak. Her voice cracked like a gavel. "Do you realize what you've just done? That man is your chief. Officer Doyle's eyes darted downward, confirmation blazing in front of him. His sneer vanished, replaced by a pallor that drained the blood from his face. But pride, habit, and 17 years of unchecked power roared louder than reason. His grip on Anthony didn't loosen. His knee pressed harder, as though doubling down could rewrite the laws of reality. Around them, a semicircle of witnesses became a wall of judgment. Dozens of phones recorded from every angle. The teenage girl, live streaming, whispered, "Oh my God, my followers are blowing up. This is insane. They're attacking their own boss." Her chat feed scrolled faster than her eyes could read. Police chief, racist cops, Millbrook scandal. Anthony, face pressed against asphalt, felt blood drip steadily from his cheek. His voice, though strained, carried the authority of a man who had testified in dozens of courtrooms. "Officer Doyle, Officer Ellis, Officers Rodriguez and Bradley, you are currently violating the Fourth Amendment, using excessive force and conducting an unlawful detention in full view of multiple witnesses and recording devices." His words were methodical, precise, every syllable aimed not at Doyle's ears, but at the archive of cameras capturing truth. It was evidence. It was survival. It was history being written. The tension snapped when Mark Ellis, Doyle's younger partner, panicked at the crowd's rising anger. His eyes flitted nervously from phone screens to the blinking red light of the gas station security camera. He knew the footage was damning. Desperation flooded his veins. Then came the act that would define his life. Ellis crouched near Anthony's restrained body, ensuring his back faced the cell phones. With quick, deliberate motions, he dragged his fingernails across his own neck, carving red welts into pale flesh. Blood welled instantly, trickling down into his collar. He staggered backward, dramatically clutching his throat, voice cracking with fake anguish. "He attacked me! He clawed my neck!" The lie detonated like dynamite. Witnesses erupted in disbelief. The contractor shouted, "That's a damn lie! He's been face down this whole time." The yoga mom's voice trembled with fury. "You scratched yourself. We all saw it." But Ellis pressed forward with theatrical desperation, holding his bleeding neck toward the cameras. "Look, he assaulted an officer. You all saw him." "No, we didn't." The teenage live streamer's voice sliced through the chaos. "I've been recording the whole time. He never moved his hands. You just did that to yourself." She flipped her phone around, showing thousands of viewers Ellis's self-inflicted injury in real time. Comments exploded across the feed. "OMG, he framed him." "Ellis lies. UAS caught in camera." From the convenience store entrance, Linda Alvarez jabbed a finger toward the black security dome mounted above the door. "Our camera recorded everything. He didn't touch you." Her accent thickened as anger burned through fear. "The truth is right there." Ellis froze, eyes wide, chest heaving. He had forgotten the stationary witness in the sky, the unblinking camera that missed nothing. The red recording light blinked like an electronic judge. Dr. Brooks stepped forward, her professorial authority slicing through Ellis's crumbling performance. "Young man, you just injured yourself and lied to cover your abuse. We all saw it. That camera saw it. And history will see it." The crowd murmured agreement, a chorus of disgust. Phones panned from Ellis's fresh scratches to Anthony's motionless form, restrained and bloodied, his dignity intact despite humiliation. Anthony, voice hoarse but steady, seized the moment. "For the record," he declared, pausing so phones could capture his words, "Officer Ellis has just fabricated evidence by injuring himself and blaming me while I am restrained. This constitutes perjury, obstruction of justice, and evidence tampering." His eyes shifted toward Doyle. "And you, Officer Doyle, are complicit in this crime." Doyle's jaw clenched, fury mixing with panic. He barked back, "Shut your mouth before you make this worse." His knee pressed harder against Anthony's neck, though his hands trembled. He could feel the weight of the crowd, the weight of history, pressing back against him. Backup sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder, a shrill soundtrack to collapse. Doyle's instinct screamed to hold ground, to show dominance, but the ground beneath him was shifting fast. Witnesses weren't silent, phones weren't hidden, lies weren't invisible. As two more patrol cars screeched into the lot, Linda raised her voice again. "Chief Carter, we are with you. We all saw what they did." Her words emboldened the crowd. Applause broke out, scattered at first, then swelling. The construction worker pumped his fist. "We got you, Chief." Anthony drew a breath against the crushing weight on his back, summoning every ounce of resolve. "The truth is being recorded," he said, voice low but unbreakable. "And the truth will prevail." Doyle's face contorted, a man watching his career dissolve. He yanked Anthony upward roughly, jacket ripping further, exposing the badge in full. Sunlight bathed the star in brilliance. The crowd erupted. Cheers, shouts, whistles. The live stream chat scrolled, "He's the chief." They attacked their own boss. "Justice for Carter." Doyle staggered, eyes darting between the badge and the dozens of witnesses. Ellis's hand still clutched his bleeding neck, his performance abandoned. Rodriguez and Bradley, the additional officers, froze in place, their weapons untouched, faces pale as paper. And Anthony, despite torn skin and shredded fabric, straightened his spine with quiet dignity. His voice rose, carrying over engines, sirens, and chaos. "I am Chief Anthony Carter, and every single one of you is about to answer for what you've done." The sun struck the five-pointed star like a spotlight, throwing beams of truth across the Chevron parking lot. Anthony Carter, blood streaking his cheek, torn suit clinging to his frame, stood taller than any of the four officers who moments ago pressed him into asphalt. His badge glimmered like molten gold, undeniable, inescapable. "I am Chief Anthony Carter," he announced, voice strong despite the ache in his ribs, "and you will answer for your actions." The words hit like a shockwave. Officer Brian Doyle's jaw slackened, color draining from his face. His knees buckled, the swagger of 17 years dissolving into a tremor. Mark Ellis froze, blood from his self-inflicted scratches dripping onto his collar, his eyes wide, horror dawning that his desperate act had been caught on every camera in sight. Rodriguez and Bradley, the reinforcements who had swaggered in with weapons ready, stepped back instinctively. Their hands dropped from their holsters, eyes darting between the badge, the crowd, and the blinking security camera. The crowd erupted. Applause, shouts, whistles of disbelief. A contractor yelled, "They just attacked their own boss." The teenage live streamer screamed into her phone, "Y'all are not going to believe this. The dude they tackled, he's the new police chief." Her viewers skyrocketed from hundreds to tens of thousands in seconds. Comments flooding, "This is history. They're done." "Chief Carter," Doyle stammered, voice cracking. "Chief, we didn't know. It was a misunderstanding." Anthony's stare was ice, the kind that had held gang leaders in interrogation rooms and juries in federal court. He raised his hand, commanding silence. "Explanations ended when you put your knee on my neck. Officer Doyle, excuses ended when you fabricated lies. Officer Ellis, each of you disgraced this badge before the people you swore to protect." He turned, his voice carrying with the precision of command. "Officer Rodriguez, secure this scene. Officer Bradley, call Internal Affairs, FBI Civil Rights Division, and the mayor's office immediately." His tone allowed no debate. It was not a request, it was an order. Rodriguez hesitated, shame tightening her jaw, then nodded numbly. "Yes, Chief." She keyed her radio, her voice brittle. Bradley stepped back toward his cruiser, fumbling with the dispatch mic, his hands trembling as if the weight of the world sat on his shoulders. Anthony faced Doyle and Ellis, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper audible to every phone recording. Remove your weapons, badges, and radios. Place them on the hood of my car. Now. The command gutted them. Doyle's trembling fingers unclipped his duty belt. The metallic clatter of his sidearm on the sedan's hood echoed like a funeral bell. His badge followed, face down, the shine dull against sunlight. Ellis mirrored him, every movement a portrait of defeat. His scratched neck throbbed, pain overshadowed by humiliation. He placed his radio down with shaking hands, then removed his badge, fingers lingering as though reluctant to surrender the last shred of his identity. The crowd watched in awe. Phones tilted forward, recording every metallic clang. Linda Alvarez whispered to a nearby customer, "That's the sound of justice." Doyle, desperate, dropped to his knees in front of Anthony. "Chief, please, I've got a family. 17 years on this job. A mortgage. Don't ruin me." His voice cracked, tears cutting past through the sweat on his face. The man who had roared boy minutes earlier now groveled on hot asphalt, his authority evaporating like mist under the morning sun. Anthony's glare cut him down. Protect the community from what? Officer Doyle? A black man buying gasoline? Tell me, Ellis, were you protecting the community when you clawed your own neck to frame me? Ellis swallowed hard, shame choking him. His hands instinctively rose to his wounds, fingers brushing the welts. He whispered, "I panicked. Chief, I'm sorry, I know what I did was wrong. The camera will show everything." His voice trembled, confession spilling like poison. The teenage live streamer shouted into her phone, "He just admitted it. He confessed." Her viewers flooded the chat. Career over. Caught in 4K. Ellis lies. Anthony seized Doyle's radio, keying the mic with steady authority. His voice boomed through dispatch for every officer in Millbrook Heights to hear. "Central, this is Chief Anthony Carter. I need Internal Affairs, FBI Civil Rights Division, and Mayor Whitman at the Chevron station immediately. 4 officers are in custody for assault, civil rights violations, and falsifying reports." The silence that followed was deafening. Then dispatch crackled back. The operator's voice stunned but professional. "Copy that. Chief, units en route." The words sealed their fate. The entire department now knew. The hunters were officially the hunted. News spread like wildfire. Within minutes, a Channel 7 van screeched into the lot, satellite dish rising skyward. Reporter Amanda Lane, mic in hand, hustled toward the scene with her cameraman. "Chief Carter, can you tell us what just happened?" she shouted, breathless, eyes wide at the sight of officers disarmed and kneeling. Anthony straightened his torn jacket, blood still drying on his cheek. He faced the cameras with the poise of a man who understood the power of optics. These officers violated their oath, the Constitution, and the trust of this community. One even injured himself and attempted to frame me for assault. All of this was recorded by witnesses in the station's security camera. Justice will be served. The crowd cheered. Maria Alvarez crossed herself, whispering, "Gracias a Dios." The elderly woman in pearls dabbed at her eyes. The construction worker raised his phone high, capturing the moment for posterity. Doyle collapsed forward, face in his hands, sobbing openly. Ellis stared blankly, as though trying to will himself invisible. Rodriguez and Bradley stood frozen, their shame quiet but profound. Anthony's voice cut like a blade. "Officers Doyle, Ellis, Rodriguez, Bradley, you are immediately suspended without pay, pending federal investigation. Surrender your equipment." The metallic clinks multiplied. Radios, batons, handcuffs, symbols of authority, hit the hood of the sedan in reluctant sequence. The sound was a dirge for 4 careers, echoing across asphalt, recorded on dozens of phones. Sirens blared again. This time, they brought supervisors, internal affairs, and federal agents. SUVs pulled in. Agents in suits emerging with clipboards and cameras. The scene transformed into a crime scene. Evidence markers appeared. Photos snapped. Witness statements collected. Anthony turned to Dr. Brooks. "Professor, thank you. Your testimony will matter." She nodded, voice firm. "Chief, I'll testify. I'll tell the world what I saw." Amanda Lane's microphone caught everything. Broadcasting live. Viewers across the state watched Doyle's hands cuffed behind his back, irony dripping from every metallic click. The officer who once barked, "Stop resisting," now stood silent as his rights were read back to him. Social media exploded. Hashtags trended. Shocker Chief Carter, Nanar, Millbrook Shame, Shocker Justice at Chevron. Clips of Ellis scratching his own neck circulated, edited into memes. A split screen of Anthony's badge gleaming under sunlight beside Doyle's tear-streaked face went viral within minutes. And in the middle of it all stood Anthony Carter, battered but unbroken, his badge raised high for every camera, every witness, every skeptic to see. His voice carried above the chaos, not just to the people present, but to a nation watching. This badge represents truth, and today, truth overcame lies. The crowd erupted in cheers. Witnesses clapped. Phones kept rolling. The reversal was complete. The hunters had become the hunted. 48 hours after the Chevron confrontation, Millbrook Heights became ground zero for the largest police accountability scandal in Georgia history. The footage spread across every news network. CNN's Kyron screamed, "New police chief assaulted by own officers." MSNBC ran endless loops of Mark Ellis clawing his neck, juxtaposed with Anthony Carter pinned face down. Fox News debated systemic rot in small-town policing. The BBC picked it up. American officers attacked their own chief in broad daylight. The FBI Civil Rights Division moved fast. Special Agent Sarah Martinez arrived from Atlanta with a full team. Sharp-eyed, gray-suited. She walked the Chevron lot like a surgeon in an operating room. "This is prosecutorial gold," she told reporters. 4 officers committed federal crimes against their own commanding officer, while being recorded on 8 different devices. The investigation was swift, methodical. The Chevron security footage, high definition and time-stamped, became the smoking gun. Frame by frame, it showed Ellis positioning himself away from cell phone angles before scratching his neck. Frame by frame, it showed Doyle's knee crushing Anthony's neck while witnesses shouted he wasn't resisting. The video revealed everything: the lies, the brutality, the fabrication. 3 weeks later, a federal grand jury handed down indictments that shook the law enforcement community. Officer Brian Doyle faced charges of civil rights violations under color of law, assault, battery, and conspiracy, 15 years maximum. Mark Ellis faced even harsher counts: evidence tampering, false reporting, obstruction of justice, 18 years maximum. Officers Rodriguez and Bradley faced accessory charges for standing silent, each facing 5 years. The trial began in a packed federal courthouse in Atlanta. National cameras lined the marble hallways. Protesters gathered outside with signs: "Justice for Carter," "End police lies," "Truth over power." The air crackled with the weight of history. Inside, Anthony Carter sat at the witness table, a picture of dignity in a navy suit, cheek scar faint but visible. His presence commanded silence. He wasn't just a victim, he was a chief, a leader, a symbol. The prosecution opened with devastating simplicity. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," the federal prosecutor said, pacing before them, "what you will see in this courtroom is not hearsay, not speculation, not opinion. You will see with your own eyes a police officer injuring himself to frame an innocent man. You will see sworn officers using their badges to justify lies. And you will see the courage of one man who refused to let lies destroy him." Then came the footage. The jury leaned forward as the Chevron video played across courtroom monitors. Ellis turned pale as his own movements betrayed him. He was caught glancing at the security camera, stepping into position, dragging fingernails across his neck. The timestamp proved Anthony had been face down, restrained, incapable of moving. The gasps in the courtroom were audible. The defense scrambled. Doyle's lawyer claimed a moment of panic led to excessive force. Ellis's attorney argued irrational stress response, but the footage cut through excuses like acid through paper. Expert witnesses testified. Forensic analysts confirmed the scratches were self-inflicted. The angle, the depth, the fingernail patterns. No doubt remained. Then came the witnesses. Dr. Eleanor Brooks, Professor Emerita, took the stand with steel in her voice. I watched 4 sworn officers systematically violate every principle of justice. They profiled, they assaulted, they lied, and one even injured himself to create false evidence. If Chief Carter's badge hadn't shown, they would have destroyed his life. The courtroom buzzed. The professor's authority was unshakable. Next, Linda Alvarez, the gas station attendant, spoke through halting English. Her sincerity pierced every heart. I come to America for justice, for fairness. What I saw that day was not America. It was corruption, hate. But this trial, is America I believe in. At war, tears glistened in jurors' eyes. Reporters scribbled furiously. The teenage live streamer testified too, her video evidence projected for all to see. Her voice cracked as she described shaking hands, comments exploding on her screen, the world watching live. I saw him scratch himself. Everyone saw it. Thousands of people online saw it. The defense collapsed under the weight of irrefutable evidence. Cross-examination destroyed what little remained. The prosecutor cornered Ellis with surgical precision. Officer Ellis, can you explain why you stepped away from recording phones before scratching your neck? Ellis fumbled. I don't remember. The prosecutor's eyes narrowed. Yet you immediately blamed Chief Carter for those injuries. Are you telling this jury you don't remember committing perjury? Ellis stammered, silence damning him more than words. When Anthony himself testified, the courtroom held its breath. His voice carried calm authority. Your Honor, members of the jury, those officers didn't see a chief, or a public servant, or even a human being. They saw only skin color and assumed criminality. Officer Ellis injured himself to justify that prejudice. Without my badge, I would be in prison today. My life would be ruined by lies. The jury hung on every word. Cameras outside broadcast his testimony live. Millions watched, moved, outraged, galvanized. Closing arguments sealed the verdict. The prosecutor's voice thundered. This was not a split-second mistake. This was not panic. This was calculated corruption. These officers tried to destroy a man with lies. They failed because the truth was stronger. And today, you have the chance to prove that in America. Truth still matters. The jury deliberated just 6 hours. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. The sentencing weeks later drew even larger crowds. Federal Judge Margaret Thompson spoke with solemn gravity. Officers Doyle and Ellis, your actions represent the absolute worst of policing. Mr. Doyle, your use of excessive force earns you 12 years in federal prison. Mr. Ellis, your deliberate fabrication of evidence is unforgivable. 15 years in federal prison. Ms. Rodriguez and Mr. Bradley, your silent complicity makes you culpable. 3 years each. The words fell like thunder. Doyle's wife sobbed in the gallery. Ellis stared at the floor, hands trembling, his family absent. Rodriguez wept silently. Bradley nodded, resigned, already broken. Anthony sat still, eyes forward, the weight of justice heavy but necessary. Outside, the crowd roared. Protesters cheered. Reporters shouted questions. The headlines blazed across screens. Justice served. Officers convicted in chief assault case. Millbrook Heights paid Anthony $3.1 million in settlement, the largest police misconduct payout in state history. But he didn't keep a dime. This money came from taxpayers who deserve better policing, he told cameras. He donated it all to police accountability nonprofits, body camera programs, and racial justice initiatives. The gesture turned him from local leader to national symbol. CNN named him Person of the Year. Universities invited him to speak. Civil rights groups hailed him as proof that truth can triumph over lies. And yet, Anthony never let the spotlight blind him. In his mind, the plaque that soon stood at the Chevron station said everything. Site of Justice, where truth overcame prejudice, September 2024. The trial was over, but its lessons would ripple through policing forever.